Welcome to the Change Underground for October 2025. We're trying something new, a video format, but the thrust is the same. Decarbonize the air, recarbonize the soil. So we start off with an article from Yahoo News. Regenerative agriculture has its roots in Indigenous farming, funnily enough. Once we were all regenerative farmers everywhere. It's only since the Second World War that things have gotten a little bit skew-if. Now, regenerative agriculture is a series of farming practices that improve long-term soil health and boost yields. I think we can take that as read. Holistic, returning to traditional methods, reducing the use of heavy machinery and pesticides, and promoting soil cover and crop diversity. Now, Indigenous farmers, of course, never stopped being regenerative because they were never given access to the industrial agriculture. There are all kinds of political reasons and post-colonial reasons, and we're not going into them here. Suffice it to say that Indigenous people never stopped using their traditional methods because they knew they worked. And if you're on the verge of starvation, you go with what works. So you've got agroforestry in Honduras, which is a well-known thing, agroforestry now. They use a system and a technique known as Quezangwal. I do apologise if that's incorrect pronunciation. And it also promotes food security because it gives a structure to their paddocks and hillsides. And the trees form the skeleton, and the annual crops provide the flesh and the food and the livestock. Similar in a lot of ways, in Mexico and Guatemala, they've always intercropped, which is sort of necessary, I guess, beans with corn and so on. This is, of course, in direct contradiction to Leviticus, I think, that says you can only plant one crop in a paddock at a time. Why we're still taking agronomic advice from a book that old is beyond me. So, the Mayan people have been intercropping for generations, and it works. And finally, in Peru, they've reduced their use of pesticides considerably. Now, this is a whole of ecosystem health, a whole of the biosphere health. We need to get rid of these things and let them break down into what is hopefully less harmful byproducts. Our next article is from the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, in Australia, of all places. And these people set up a regenerative farm when they first bought it. I think the lady said once she'd heard about regenerative farming, it was a no-brainer, which is fairly obvious, really. So she liked the holistic approach and fixing what had been damaged in the past. So they have chooks following cows and all that sort of stuff, plus continual cover cropping and crop rotation. It ticks all the boxes, really. Now, our next article is from Potato News Today, and I'll just get the subtitle right, because it's the reason enough to include this article. No nonsense, no frills, potato news stories from around the world. And what more could you ask for? Anyway, this is this one brings up questions because it involves corporate money. But if we're going to get it done, we're going to have to use corporate money, I guess. It's a collaboration between National Geographic Society and PepsiCo, of all people. So they're launching a program based on focused on Regen Ag. So I can see it's going to be a problem. There's a Malthusian approach in the first couple of paragraphs about too many people, not enough food. Perhaps the destruction of soil is more important than the area under cultivation. But they've based their vision on science and hope, which it's about time people actually looked at the science of Regen Ag, and that way we'd go a lot faster and a lot further. So PepsiCo is committed to a resilient food system even though they're selling type 2 diabetes inducing food. It's a funny world we live in. But there you go. I'll leave a link to all of these articles in the show notes and in the notes for the YouTube video. Our final piece comes from Lithuania, that well-known Baltic state. And they've come up with a deal for farmers so that where they actually measure the amount of carbon they're sequestering in the soil and get paid for it. This has always been a stumbling block with Regen Ag, and measuring the soil carbon's been problematic at best, yeah, and dodgy at other times. So they've joined up with a mob called InSoil and a new climate launch, a strategic collaboration to market 500,000 verifiable carbon removals. Now the thing is, the farmers get cash, the carbon gets sequestered, and once the crops start to yield improves and the costs improve because you're not spraying and all the rest of it, it will encourage more farmers who will do whatever it takes to save a few bob and increase their profit. They are the ultimate small business. So I'll leave a link to that one as well, as I say. And I think the four of them together sum up exactly what it is we're trying to do in Regen Ag and here at Change Underground. They're all steps along the way to decarbonising the air and recarbonising the soil. So until next episode, stay lucky. And if you're interested, and if you'd like, I'd really love some feedback on the new format, if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.